G'day guys, my name is Wildkard and welcome back to my channel. Thank you for following my content, I really do appreciate it. So, I know why you're here, you know why you're here. It's Tuesday, it's News Day. Let's take a look what's going on in the world of rugby. Now, the pandemic has hit all around the world and lots of cancellations around the world, games being switched up. Let's just quickly go through them. You've probably already seen this, it's probably a bit too much for everyone to talk about. And it's just it's just quickly go through this. Don't want to go into too much details on this sort of stuff, and we want to look at some more interesting stuff in the rugby world. So quickly go through some of the stupidity. So French government travel ban, multiple games cancelled in France. There's more rounds being cancelled in European Challenge Cup games and Champions Cup games, and the URC has decided to. There was like a couple rounds ago where there were basically European teams visiting South Africa. They decided to postpone those games into next year in February and May. So those games will be played in South Africa next year. That's basically what the URC has decided to do. Instead of finding a neutral venue for those games or cancelling the games, they wanted to play them still in South Africa next year, in hoping that everything will be much better by February and March next year. Wales is set to close their indoor sporting events after starting from Boxing Day, so that's another hit for rugby as well. Saracens, one of the clubs that's being used, was riding high on top of the rugby world in England with cheating. They cheated with the salary breach, and then they got relegated. Finally got back to the Premiership in England, and they are struggling with cases in the camp. So I think they had a game last week where they, what's going on? But anyway, so they're struggling with COVID cases, and they, hopefully will be okay to continue with their camp. It'll be interesting if they get relegated again due to COVID. But anyway, Saracens struggling. So let's go through some actual news that's more interesting, that's not, pandemic related. First up, Suliasi Vunivalu, a huge NRL star, former Premiership, Rugby League NRL Premiership winner with the Melbourne Storms, had a very, on and off season with the Reds. He had, a match ban against the Reds last year. He had, an injury as well. He's been out for the injury for a long time now. But for the few games he did play, when he was not injured, he looked absolutely spectacular. I think he played 7 games or something from what I've read, and he scored 5 tries. He was spectacular when he was actually playing. Very, very promising talent. And unfortunately, it seems like he's had enough with rugby union. There's talks of him going back to NRL, Rugby League. And and he's still only halfway through his two-year deal with the Queensland Reds. He was a promising guy that was looking at potentially debuting for the Wallabies, and due to injuries, he didn't even get a chance to debut. So I guess now since he has never debuted for the Wallabies, he can potentially just play for Fiji now if he wants to play in the Rugby World Cup for Fiji. Could be a thing that he's thinking of, to be honest. But yeah, he's talking about going back to Rugby League. And Rassie Erasmas, Mr. Jaco Johan, is voted in the RugbyPass. Actually, this is not actually World Rugby. This is RugbyPass. Has had a poll voting best coaches and whatnot. He's currently leading the vote for greatest coach of all time. He's definitely the most entertaining coach for me, and sure has given me a lot of entertainment this year, off the field, on and off the field. And he's not to lie, but he's actual coaching strategies on field, winning the Rugby World Cup is pretty smart as well. So not fault him for his on-field performance as well. And he's leading Sir Graham Henry, Steve Hansen in the votes, who's second place, and they also have some other, Gatlin and some other people from the old times that was in the poll. But yeah, Sir Rassie Erasmas is leading the vote. And also we have Michael Cheika moving to Pro D2 in France. He has he was the assistant coach for Argentina, helping Argentina beating the All Blacks last year. It was quite huge. He was also, he's been doing that a bit. I think he also did a bit of rugby league. He was doing rugby league with, a bit of rugby league coaching as well. But he's officially moving to Narbonne. I don't know if that's pronounced properly. Narbonne in France. And he had apparently coached this team in 2010 to 2012. And would be good to see Michael Cheeks going there to pursue more club career and make some good money. And then we have Milner-Skudder, one of the very, very excellent All Blacks players. He had a bit of a time off for a couple of years since 2019. He's finally decided to return to the fold with the Hurricanes. It'll be really good to see how this guy will perform after a couple of years off. But he was quite good from memory before for the All Blacks, and especially for the Hurricanes. I thought it was pretty. I thought, what did he play for the Highlanders? But anyway, I thought it was pretty good for the All Blacks, regardless. But he's coming back, and he is ready to play for the Hurricanes. And on the weekend, Spain beat Portugal in actual international rugby in the end of the year tournaments, and that's a huge win, 52 points to 7. And this saw Spain moved ahead in Portugal in Rugby World rankings. And that's some real international rugby over there. Another big story out of France. It's been probably 10 years now, where everybody goes to France to make money. All these ex-All Blacks players finishing off their career in France. It's kind of like a theme. And finally, that spray of money has started to catch up with the French business. They are deciding to reduce the salary cap to try to, I guess, help with their to try to reduce the financial gap. They're struggling a little bit, so they're looking at dropping their salary cap at 12%. I've never heard the salary cap being dropped before. I've only heard that salary cap's been increased, but there you go. French salary cap is going to be decreased by 12% from 11.3 million euros to 9.94 million over, I think, to 2024. So over the next 4 years. So, and this is literally because they're they've basically spent money for too much for too long. And also this, just in comparison, in the Premiership in England, the cap is 5.9 million euros. So that's almost doubled over the English clubs. But English clubs do have an option where 2 players are outside of the current salary cap for their big names and whatnot. But French, they don't do that. It just covers everything. And that's pretty much what's happening there in France. So a lot of these big money players are gonna see some of their money. Maybe not. Maybe I think it's probably more likely the smaller fringy players might get cut. That's probably most likely what's going to happen with these teams. And also the finances in the All Blacks not looking good. 2020 and 2020 has saw them lost a lot of money, and once again it seems like they're having a big struggle this year due to the pandemic. So they basically even so, as a result, they decided that they will push ahead with Trans-Tasman Rugby, which is Super Rugby, Super 12 that's coming up, and also obviously the Bledisloe Cup and Rugby Championship coming up later next year. Those they will go ahead, and they basically said that I think this is last year's loss, but they've lost money once again. So from the report, it says $34.6 million loss last year. So there you go. New Zealand Rugby losing more money as a result, and they are still in talks with the Silver Lake firm to sell, I think, 12% of their ownership to this American firm. But yeah, it's a bit of a struggle for the All Blacks, to be fair. And their recent performances has been really hurting. I think one of the biggest struggles for the All Blacks is that there's no visiting teams from overseas. Like this, I think England's coming to play the All Blacks next year, and I think France is also coming to play the All Blacks next year in in New Zealand. So those 2 games, if travel was allowed, will bring in a lot more money for New Zealand, you know, just for the All Blacks and New Zealand economy as well. So hopefully things will settle down later next year, mid next year, and the New Zealand rugby can recoup some of that money from these big touring teams. And then we have my boy, my man, the Pocock, David Pocock wants to run for Senate next year. He should run for the Rugby World Cup. That's what he should be doing. God, he retired too early. But so he's moving to politics for the ACT territory as an independent. I was actually wondering which way he was going to go in for. He's going in as an independent, not affiliated with any of the corrupt parties at the moment that's running Australia into the ground. But that's good. Sir, Mr. David Pocock, I am a big fan of you, and this is just a little story, like how much all of my friends and I would like Pocock. He's such a I remember seeing him once down on the beach. Like, he's just massive, just absolutely massive guy, and he's just like such a nice and approachable guy. I said hi to him, shook his hands, and just had a little chat. Just such a nice guy and approachable person. And this was just before the Rugby World Cup. He was about to head overseas. Really, really nice guy. And in the gym, we're cause he's famous for jackling, right? So in the really good at the breakdown. So in the gym, my friends and I, the bent over roll. You kind of bent over and have a bar, and you kind of pull the bar onto your chest. Basically the jackling kind of move. The bent over row, essentially the jackling move. We call that the Pocock. We don't call it bent over row. We call it the Pocock. So we're just we go to the gym, and that's used to be our favorite exercise. We go to the gym and we do the Pocock until arms, back and arms fall off, and then that's the thing. We do the Pocock in the gym. But yeah, Mr. Pocock, I really wish you had played a few more years, mate. Really wish you had played for a bit longer. But good luck with your Senate run in ACT. And finally, the news today, a bit of bad news from a former Super Rugby player and former Tongan player. Taniela Moa passed away at the age of only 36. Not sure that the cause of death was not mentioned. So hopefully this is just something, this does not look right for 36. No one, that's way too young for anyone to pass away. So hopefully, well wishes to his family. And hopefully this is not something that's cynical that led to his death. But that's news for this week, guys. Let me know any of the articles we go through today. And once again, it's going to be a bit of a quiet period coming up next few more weeks leading to Christmas. Not too much news. And we will do the news every week. And anyway, thanks for watching this video. Like, comment, subscribe, yada, yada, yada. I'll see you guys next week. Cheers.